plastic, not in the literal sense of the word. It's malleable, it's shape-shifting and moldable. You know, in the old world, science thought that the brain was an organ that was hardwired and compartmentalized. But today we know that the brain can rewire itself. It can repurpose bits and pieces and adapt and grow. And the ability for the brain to rewire itself, it's called neuroplasticity. Now, you may have heard of a similar term, neurogenesis, but did you know that neurogenesis, or the creation of new nerve cells, can happen through spinal motion? In other words, we are rebuilding the brain through spinal motion. Over 90% of the input to the brain is generated through the movement of the spine. Nobel Prize, Dr. Roger Sperry says. So we've learned that new cells and networks of the brain grow as needed, very much as muscles grow with exercise and movement. Today we know for a fact that big brains coincide with the intricate physical movement of the spine. See, through time, evolutionary changes used biochemistry and adapted from the environment to enhance muscles, movement in our brain. And to explore and further our understanding of this concept of neurogenesis, we have to define some terms. And I'm going to Star Trek geek out for a moment and use some big science terms. But again, I'm going to then take the Latin out of it so that you can understand this stuff. Is that fair? And so, what terms are we talking about? Well, here they are. There's two of them. Homeostasis and hormesis. Homeostasis is that mechanism within the body that responds to a normal, kind of a balanced operating, like a teeter-totter. Hormesis is the response to a low dose of stressors, and it helps to handle that. It's a better than. So in movement patterns and exercise, we can apply this concept of hormesis. You know, unlike homeostasis, hormesis does not return the body to a normal state. It returns it to a better than normal state. You know, bodybuilding is a great example that best illustrates this point. When we lift weights to build and rebuild muscle, heavy stress is placed on our muscles. And that process, that breaks them down by overload. So the body reacts with an immune response and inflammation. And this reaction is a normal, adaptive, physiological mechanism that our body do to respond to any environmental stress. So you hear me use these hard words, stress and inflammation, just like when we start playing with cliche like it's genetic. You know, we believe that all stress and inflammation is bad. But what you have to understand, there's no such thing as good or bad in this model. The body is simply responding and adapting and evolving into a more superior species. With that statement, the fact is the body uses both to rebuild and grow. And this process builds bigger and better an adaptive response. Your muscles are faced with a new challenge in the form of heavy weights. So the body responds by building the infrastructure to meet that challenge. So our brains work the same way. The body grows, it becomes more resilient. Take this stress load away over time and it works in the other direction. Use it or lose it. So in the example of the sedentary bodybuilder, he or she loses muscle. Example of the active, right? They gain muscle. So the sedentary human loses brain size and function. You heard that right. The sedentary and the immobile people shrink the brain and it damages it. And eventually I'm going to attempt to tie all this into the profession of chiropractic. Why I believe chiropractic care is the only profession that can help build both muscle and brain development. Because of one misunderstood fact, the importance of spinal motion and its stimulation to that brain-body connection.